Imagine joining a group because you were thinking that you're going to be doing something positive and possibly changing or even saving the world. This is how my life looked like. I entered a group at the age of 17, was being recruited already earlier from 16 years old. And I could even say that when I was 13, because at 13 years old, Father Bing, the founder of the AFI Inc., AFI organization, we were in Rome, Italy, and he asked me, "How old are you, Ryan?" And I told him, "I'm 13." And he goes, "Oh, you're pretty young, but I think you have a calling. So maybe in a few years you should come and join our group." Said something like that. But already at that age of 13, he was taking that time to plant that idea in my mind that God was calling me to be with their group. And I've already explained a bit more about that recruitment process. But today I wanted to dive into a question that I had, and I'm going to bring this on the table, present it so that maybe if there are other ex-members, you can share your thoughts, your comments, and even if you're not an ex-member, maybe a family member of someone who used to be or is a member in this cult. If you're a family member of someone who is in it, maybe you can also give me your thoughts. But what I wanted to bring today to the table is my thought that we were getting trafficked. And it's hard for me to come to that because they make you first, they love bomb you, make you feel like, wow, you're special. Then they brainwash you to think, wow, this is the place that I have to join. And so it was like willingly I joined, but at the same time there was a lot of fraud and a lot of manipulation, especially being so young, spiritual manipulation. And so I I joined at that time. I thought was something just so willingly, leaving my family, leaving my high school education, leaving my dreams for college and for the rest of my life. So it was a stolen life, but also I feel like we were trafficked, at least for me, in my thoughts. And I say this because it was always hard to leave. Like they'll say you can leave whenever you want. I remember they did this thing to me, the one of the superiors, because being inside of the group for me was like this is salvation. So he did like a reverse psychology thing where he made an announcement that I will not no longer be allowed to participate. That, and this was in my first year. Like I was still just fresh. I was diehard into this. And he was saying that I would no longer be permitted, that I need to be on silence, that I need to be separated from the family, and that uh, as soon as possible, that I should be sent back to United States and to Los Angeles. I was in Dover, Delaware at this time, and that from then on I will have nothing to do with the group. Now, for me at that time, I was just so like it was like the biggest pain because I thought that I was being like banished, kind of like, the Garden of Eden, how they're banished. I felt like that was happening to me. Like if I were to be kicked out of this group, and I hadn't done anything, just the superior later on, he's like, I was testing you and seeing how loyal you were. And so, but in my mind, I was just so lost, and I just felt that I had to be closer to this group, and to be to be separated from it was like losing heaven. It was like being sent to hell. And every day I'm just waiting, and they would even take me to the airport twice. They took me to the airport twice, and then they would say something like, "Oh, something's wrong with the ticket." So it's a long drive from Dover, Delaware to like Philadelphia airport. Um, and they would do that just to test me, 17-year-old, and I was just so I didn't know I was being tested. So they were playing with my emotions, with my mind, with my feelings, and ultimately, this superior made a new announcement saying, I don't want you to go. You're very loyal, something like that. And I just started crying because I felt like I had just been uh, brought back into the flock. And I really feel a connection, like when I hear like former XJWs sharing their story, even though I wasn't a Jehovah Witness, but when I hear their story of like getting shunned and shamed and being like separated, those conversations really get to me. But that's like the first part I wanted to talk about how they like reinforce the need to be in the group by manipulating you, making you feel bad, making you feel a lot of shame. And then later on, I was locked in. I mean, I was like unwavering. I don't know about the other people, but I was like unwavering. Do whatever you want to do with me. Take my money, take my passport, take my life, because this is my new life. I have no life. This is me. And so I was really like that deeply involved. And something that I recognize now that I'm out is that not everyone was like so diehard as I was. Well, because I was super brainwashed, and not just brainwashed, but I feel like my heart had been chained just so tightly, and I just couldn't see. But yeah, we give our passports, we surrender our lives, and then I'm in the Philippines. But something that came to light, and I'm bringing this up because this is important for me that it comes to light because it happened a lot in the Sith Sisters. And forget all the name confusion. There's AHFI Inc., Sith. It's confusing. But something that they did, from what I've been told, and I've even received pictures before. Unfortunately, I lost them. I'm being honest with you. But you give your passport, and then let's say you want to leave, and let's say you're in the Philippines, and you're either American or Australian. You want to leave. Well, you can't because they have your passports. And then you don't like they'll put it in a drawer, but how sure are you that it's going to stay in that drawer? Because later on during the night or some other day, another superior can come and just be a total prick and be like, "Oh no, we're gonna put this somewhere else, and we're gonna take it to instead of being here in Manila, we're gonna take it to Nueva Ecija." So then, if you want to leave, you can't, because then they're going to be saying, and not they're going to, they have said, well, we don't know where your passport is. We don't know where this, we don't know where that. And so you are now forced to stay. And then there's no access to phones. Like the only access you have to phone calls are very limited and under supervision. And you can't say anything negative while someone is monitoring you, or else they're going to cut the call, or maybe they're even going to give you some form of punishment, like more solitary confinement, fasting, maybe even flogging. So I'm bringing this because these kind of things do not belong in religious communities. And something that I feel needs to come to light is that there are religious institutes that have been formed not out of love, but through deceit. I think that that is what has happened in the Sith Sisters in particular, especially in the Sith Sisters. And with the AFI movement, the way it's going right now, it isn't an authentic growth. It is forced because if it really is from God, if it really is something holy, then there shouldn't be deceit. There shouldn't be beatings. There shouldn't be deception or fraud. There should be authenticity, humility, openness to be corrected. What do we see here? No, a lot of hiding, a lot of keeping hush hush, a lot of keeping the members to make them feel obligated to stay because there's no way to get out because you don't have your passport. I'm saying this because some people see the Sith Sisters as holy, and maybe they do holy works. Maybe they do good works. I'm not against doing good things, but There are things that are in the dark that need to come to light. And I'm not trying to shame them or be a jerk, but it's not right, and it affects many people. And I've even seen pictures, and like I said, unfortunately, I don't have those pictures anymore. But I have seen pictures where, let's say, I don't want to, release identities. Um, some sisters, ex-sisters, have shared that, like from the Philippines, that they want to go back to the United States, and they're Filipino, they're from the Philippines, but because they've been in the group for so long and they have been missionaries, they had received their visas. Now, I've heard a couple cases, actually more, but two in particular, where one ex-member needed her passport to go back to the United States to see her family. Unfortunately, this cult, the Sith Sisters, from what this is all alleged, but I'm going to share it. From what I understand, they told her, we can't find your passport. Hey, we have to look for it. It's been moved around. And from what I understand, they finally gave it to her just a bit after her visa expired. And, to come back to the United States without a visa from the Philippines, it isn't a piece of cake. It's not that easy. So that ship sank, and they could have just given her her passport right away, months or even years in advance before, and say, sure, hey, you're no longer part of the group. This is your property. Do whatever you want. Instead, their mentality is, oh, she got this when she was in our group. I mean, she don't deserve that. That's because of us. That's a stupid mentality, and that's not Christian. A second example I've seen is a sister getting back her passport with her American visa torn out. Now, why? Why go down to such evil attitudes? And do you ever hear an apology? Go to the AHFI website, Facebook, whatever, and have you ever seen an apology? No, you see them making videos about spirituality. I'm not against that. Go ahead. Help people in their spiritual life. Go ahead and do that. Pray. Awesome. But you've never seen an apology, because in the background, what you're not seeing is people who have been trampled upon, people who have given their lives. And the thing about members, whether you're Sith or whatever group, or even in the grand scheme of things, when you join a religious congregation, a religious community, you're giving your life. You're giving your life to serve the Lord under the charism, under the expression of the community. That's a big sacrifice. But what happens? That sacrifice that you make, it's nothing to them, to the leadership. All you are is a number. Not in all religious communities. Please don't get me wrong. But from what I've witnessed, what I have seen in the cult of Father Bing of the AHFI, is that you're just a number. You giving your life to them, surrendering and allowing yourself to go through so many punishments, it's it's nothing to them. But what does matter is your money. So anyways, I just wanted to end it there. And well, okay, real quick, why is it important that they keep you there? This just came to my mind. Why is it important, like for an American or an Australian or from whatever country, why is it important that they keep you there? Because the longer you're there, the more they're going to milk it and ask you to ask money from your family back at home. I know, because it happened to my family, where every month I'm asking them, hey, can you send more money? Can you send more money? And to be honest, there were a few times where I used that money to buy a cup of coffee, to buy hash browns, to buy very few things. And I get flagellated, I get whipped. So it's like, now going back to my first question, Is this trafficking where you can't leave or you can't say anything, where you're being monitored, where even if you use the funds that are given to you for your needs, even if you use just a few bucks for a cup of coffee, you're going to get punished or you're going to be in solitary confinement? Does that sound like a holy movement? I don't know. Let me know in the comments. And please feel free to share, like, subscribe, and have a good day. Peace.